Hey, do you want to learn some magic? I really like sharing my art and poems with you all, but I want to give you something that you can use. And we'll start with one of my favorites. It's the secret to infinite happiness. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's actually pretty easy. To get started, we're just going to go find a rock. All right, here's a nearby rock I picked up. This one's been a little bit polished, but you don't need any fancy rocks. Just anything that you can find. And, if you don't have rocks, pine cones, trees, I mean, really anything that you can pick up counts. But we're going to use rocks for now. So the goal is just to find a detail about this rock that we like. It doesn't have to be like what we think other people would like. It doesn't have to be, the most special thing. We just look at it for a minute and find something that, like, it's interesting, right? Like there's this weird texture right here. So we can get it almost looks like a folded up wrinkled blanket or something, or maybe like it was up against some mud when it was forming and got washed away, or maybe it melted and kind of sagged a little there. I don't really know a lot about rocks, but that's kind of neat. There's a little story there. Cool. Well, done with that rock. Let's find another one. This rock is a little rougher. I don't like the texture on my fingers as much. It's got this little bit of something here. I think some extra, just a different kind of material or something maybe. But what's really interesting to me about this one is, like, it's definitely got this flat spot and it's got this cool, like, forward slumping slug balance to it. That's kind of neat. I can imagine, putting an eye, mouth on it or something. It's it's a little slug rock. That's neat. And then we toss that one and go find another. Do it again and again. What we're doing is we're practicing noticing detail. And it's important that this isn't like insightfulness. It isn't like cleverness, like figuring out the secret. It's just, hey, there's a little nuance there. That's not just a rock. It's a rock with this little thing on it. And the reason we want to do that is because we get to be in charge of the emotions that we have in reactions to things that don't matter to other people, right? We have to try to have the emotions that match, what people expect from us socially. Those kind of emotions, there's rules to. But this isn't a social thing. This is just a thing you do in your own head, when you're bored or when you want to, or just anytime, because nobody can stop you, right? So you say, I'm deciding that when I notice one of these tiny little details of the universe, it's a little joyful reaction. It's a little, I'm glad I saw that, you know? No, this isn't like euphoria, right? This isn't, you're not going to get high looking at rocks, but you can get a pretty good happy burst. It's a little thing, and it works everywhere. You don't need rocks. Switching to tree view now. Trees work great, clouds work great, but everything works. Cracks in the sidewalk, little league softball games, annoying advertisements. You don't have to even like these details that you look at. You just have to give yourself permission to be a little bit happy when you notice them. And once you start to get it, once it really starts to open up and you see it everywhere, it's like a superpower. This universe has endless detail. Trust me, I'm a fractal wizard, I know. That means you have infinite excuses for that little burst of happiness. You can't spend all your time doing it, and it doesn't fix the things that give you harder feelings. But it lets you have something on top of all of that. And even in those moments when I'm dealing with my own shadows and, crying my way through a panic attack or puking my guts out again, there's a little part of me that can go, wow, what a weird world where things can suck like this, and I can still want to wake up tomorrow and find out what's next. And you know, it doesn't stop whatever's going on, but it gives me a little life raft to hold on to. And it reminds me that there's a bigger picture, never quite just stuck in the current sadness. So why don't we already do this? Why do we tune out the details and summarize everything with these broad emotional labels? Today was a bad day. There's so much more detail to a bad day. There are bad things that happen on bad days, but inside there's a whole lot more. We tune it out because it's a shortcut. Our brains like to save energy, and most of the time these really tiny details don't matter to other people or to the kind of plans that fill up our heads. But you can get too good at tuning it out. So good that you just take it all for granted and forget that it's there. And in a world that's so busy with things trying to take your attention, with flashy, high salience content, it's easy to miss the little stuff. The little stuff doesn't tell you how to feel. The little stuff lets you decide for yourself. And when you decide joy, that's magic.